Muses of Mythology is a spoiler-heavy podcast.
That's an understatement.
We're going to discuss not just the events of this book, but the Riordan as a whole, and really anything that we feel is relevant. You can find full spoiler warnings in the show notes.
Sadie Cash, you're fine. Hey.
We're wrapping up here, buddy.
You're fine. You're okay. Hey.
Welcome to Muses of Mythology, a podcast where we explore how ancient myths become part of modern pop culture through the lens of Riordan's The Kane Chronicles. This is Story 101, The Red Pyramid. I'm your co-host and podcasting muse, Darien and Smartt. Joining me is my co-host and brother, DJ.
How's everybody doing today? I forget what I do. I'm DJ the Muse.
You just vamp. You just vamp.
I'm DJ the Muse, and I've finally got around to listening to the Kane Chronicles.
Hey, he did it!
Congratulations, me.
Good job, DJ.
These books have been around since I was like in 8th grade, maybe even before that. I don't know. Whenever Lost Hero came out.
So I was
It might have
a
been like 5th
sophomore.
grade for me.
Yeah, I was a sophomore and or early junior in high school.
Yeah, it was like 5th or 6th grade for me. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never read any of these. It's been like almost 2 decades. Not almost 2 decades. It's been like a decade at least. Yeah.
All right. Pinning that. I got to muse around the garden, but we're going to come back and we're going to interrogate that thoroughly. Hey, y'all. Just me. Jumping in because as this is our first episode of the new season, it's also the first episode of a new month, which means it is time for our monthly Patreon donation. Every month, we donate $1 for each supporter we have over on Patreon to some organization working to create a net positive in the world. This month, inspired by our friend Erica from the Seaweed Burn podcast, who, as you might know, is currently performing with the North American tour of Wicked, we are donating to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. This organization is the philanthropic heart of Broadway, helping people across the country and across the street receive life-saving medications, healthcare, nutritious meals, counseling, and emergency financial assistance. Among their many goals, Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS aims to mobilize the unique abilities within the entertainment industry to mitigate the suffering of individuals affected by HIV/AIDS. We currently have 8 patrons over on Patreon, so we are donating an additional amount out of pocket, raising our total donation to $20. If you'd like to know more about Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, you can find the link to their organization in the show notes. Thank you to all of our patrons who make these donations possible. And now, back to the show. DJ, why didn't you ever read The Red Pyramid?
I don't know.
You were reading these books.
I wasn't. Not until like junior year.
Okay.
I read through the first I read through Last Olympian, the first first ejection of the Olympians.
Yep.
While I was in elementary school.
Okay.
And then middle school, I just wasn't reading anything.
Anything?
I didn't read anything in middle school
These
except
were
for like a science. I know,
These were
crazy.
for middle schoolers.
And even like the first 2 years, I was just doing other stuff. And then junior year, we had like a reading class that we had to take. And so I'm like, all right, I'll start reading stuff. And I'm like, I should get back into these. So I had to like reread Lost Hero and then continue on from there.
Okay, so you read through Lost Hero when you were in elementary school?
Yeah.
And you just stopped after the Lost Hero?
I didn't finish Lost Hero.
Did we talk about this 5 years ago?
No.
How did we not dissect this 5 years ago?
Because we never got around to a book I hadn't fucking read.
Yeah. I didn't realize you hadn't. Did you? Okay, so when you were in reading class, how many books did you get through in reading class?
I've finished. I've went all the way through from like junior year to senior year. I finished Lost Hero, Magnus Kane, and
Magnus Kane.
Well, not yet. Magnus Chase. And then what is it? Hidden Oracle and part of what's the second one called?
Tyrant's Tomb.
Tyrant's Tomb, yeah. No, Tyrant's Tomb is 4th.
Tyrant's Tomb is 4th. Dark Prophecy.
Dark Prophecy. And like part of Dark Prophecy, just like the first couple chapters. And then I graduated high school.
Yeah. Okay. What year did you graduate high school?
2017.
2017. And then 3 years later, we started the podcast.
Yeah.
and you
and I didn't read anything in that point in time.
No, we started the podcast, and you went and re-listened to everything, and sailed through all the Trials of Apollo books, which I hadn't yet, because we started right around the time the last Trials of Apollo book.
Yeah,
and
then I finished the Trials of Apollo book, and I'm like, now I can't talk about it until Darren finished it, and she's like barely into book 2.
I only read book 2, and then when the third one came out, I bought it the day it came out, but I'd was the farthest from my orbit of being into like Rick Riordan and stuff. And you know what? Just doing a podcast about it really brings you back to your roots. But so DJ, why when you went through all of them, why didn't you do the Red Pyramid? Why didn't you do the Kane Chronicles at that
Red
run?
Pyramid wasn't available on Audible.
It wasn't available on Audible.
No, it wasn't.
Y'all.
Not for the longest time. And now it is, but Serpent's Tower is not.
Yeah. Yeah, so
it's weird. I don't understand.
We're gonna Libby this. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But we don't need to worry about any of that right now, because today we are because it's just Red Pyramid today, gang.
It's just Red Pyramid.
Also,
I've only listened to Red
I
Pyramid.
explicitly told DJ, do not start throwing a fire until we record the episode.
Yeah.
Because this is the literal one opportunity we have to be able to do. I guess we could technically be doing it with the Nico books, since that one's going to be potentially like a 3.
But also that's like Darien is also getting in on that. She's already read all the Kane Chronicles. So.
Yeah. So I will read the back of the book. I feel like it's just a good start.
Yeah.
Ever since their mother's death, siblings Carter and Sadie have been near strangers. While Sadie's lived with her grandparents in London, Carter has traveled the world with her father, the brilliant Egyptologist Dr. Julius Kane. Then, one night they are reunited when their father takes them to the British Museum, hoping at last to set things right. Instead, he unleashes the Egyptian god Set, who banishes him into oblivion and forces the children to flee for their lives. Soon, Carter and Sadie discover that the gods of ancient Egypt are walking, and the worst of them, Set, is after the Kanes. To stop him, the siblings must embark on a dangerous journey across the globe, a quest that brings them closer to the truth about their family, and it's linked to the secret order that has existed since the time of the pharaohs.
Nice.
What did you think about this book, DJ?
I had a good time with it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I probably would have liked it if I had read it when I was in like high school.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you think about comparing it to the Greek and Roman stuff, and also like the Norse world building structures?
You know, felt a little muddy at times, muddier than the Norse stuff.
Really? Elaborate on that.
The fact that they're like redoing the stories, and that's also changes stuff about their like relationship dynamic. I don't know. That felt a little strange, and I get that. Sometimes we have like different origin stories for these things, but when it came to like the Norse stuff, he did kind of just nail down. Yeah, there's like different ones, but this is kind of what I'm going to roll with as being the true one. Yeah. Yeah, and for like the Greek and Roman stuff, it's like, yeah, there's like different ones, but this is kind of what I'm going to nail down as to the true one here in this world. This one, it's like, oh, yeah, they were born from Newt, but also Horus is the son of these people. And like, I'm like, okay.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. You did just say Newt?
Yeah.
I know for a fact they don't say Newt in the audiobook.
They don't.
They call her Nut.
So in SMITE, also...
Wow, it's already SMITE!
Also, what is it? This is like solely my own personal feelings on it. I feel like English is one of the very few languages that changes the sound of like its characters.
The vowels?
Yeah, just anything. Right? Depending on what's around it. Yeah. Other languages don't do that.
Yeah, that's how vowels work in
sense
English.
For there's like another word that they were using that has a U in it that ended that uses U instead of and so I just also SMITE uses Newt for it. So.
And that's fine. I realized I was like, oh, you just said Newt, and my brain went like, well, he listened to the audiobook, and then I thought you did too. Because listeners, I listened to this. Well, I usually read the book. This one I listened to the audiobook because I was doing a long road trip. And I'm like, this is the best use of my time.
Yeah.
Super fun. I also really like, because
Sadie's voice actor
was not British.
Should have used an English accent for Carter, much like Carter's voice actor used an English accent for Sadie.
All respect. I could not audio narrate a book, so like this is not a dunk.
But I'm
I'm
gonna dunk on it a little bit.
one of the voice actors was much stronger, and it was not the one for Sadie.
No.
I think the Carter voice actor did such a good job.
Dude, Carter knocked it out of the park.
Not just with Carter, but with every other voice. With every character who did.
Sadie just did her voice, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Carter crushed it. His voice actor was outstanding.
And I could always tell who he was trying to be. And I don't know. It's harder.
Is it?
I don't know.
Maybe we only think it's harder because for us, we'd have to put on an English voice accent.
I'm actually pretty sure this voice actress wasn't English. I think the voice actress who did the Katie stuff is the same voice actress who introduces the book.
That's wild.
I think it might, because you open the book and it's like The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan, published by by Disney Hyperion or whatever. I think that's the same lady.
It's weird that they didn't, but also arguably, Sadie's not English.
She's not, but she should have a British.
She should have a British accent. Because she'd lived there for 6 years at this point.
I've been listening to a ton of audiobooks this past year, like a ton. And I've definitely have become someone who notices when I'm like, hey, I think this performer did a really good job or is doing a good job.
Carter crushed it. Big fan of Carter's voice actor.
Carter voice actor. Will you look up who does that? I don't. Yeah. We just shout him out formally. But yeah, it was it was fine. You were talking about Nut.
Yeah.
Newt. I do agree with you.
Newt gives birth to Ra, Horus, Nephthys.
Not Ra.
No. Sorry. Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, Set, and Horus. And then there's another myth where Isis and Osiris are the parents of Horus, and Set is Osiris's brother, and Nephthys is Set's wife.
Yeah.
And so maybe even in Egyptian mythology, it really is like that is truly how it is, that they do just like do these cycles all over again. But man, I didn't like it. I felt that was like muddying some waters.
I think I totally agree. As just
Horus just didn't need to be a child of Newt, I guess. Like, I don't understand why that was there.
Well, it's because, and this is something we are going to grapple with this season a lot, y'all. The length of Egyptian history is incomprehensibly
comparatively
long, like so incomprehensibly long. Yeah. And we know that, but it is so hard for our human brains to grasp 5,000 years.
The best way to do it is that we are closer to Cleopatra than Cleopatra was to the building of the pyramids.
Yeah. And even that, I was talking to my friends, I'm like, how do I grapple with this? Because like I've heard that, but even that doesn't feel...
It's weird, but it's like...
My buddy Dalton gave me a good one, and he also was like, double check this, but I think this is true. The length of the Egyptian civilization, we, through their art, see the domestication of cats. That is how long it is.
Awesome.
And I'm gonna dig in and verify before we get into our cat episode. Yes, we will be. This season's gonna be different.
Yes.
And for a lot of reasons, but like the way I want to approach this season is different than what we've done in the past. And in part to serve, much like how we spent some time talking about the Eddas to try to serve the grappling with where we're getting Norse mythology from. I want to talk a little bit about some archaeological historical things to hopefully like help add contexts. But I think
James Fahey is Carter.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he did great.
Fahey. Grace Capeless, though. Let's see who that is.
Anyway, it's so the reason, and I agree with you in terms of just the isolation. It feels really muddy, and it's kind of a little bit perplexing because this idea is presented, but doesn't really come up a lot practically and for what our characters are dealing with contemporarily.
Mm-hmm.
But it does help with the understanding of why these stories are so vastly different.
Yeah.
Because they are. Because the civilization spanned for 1,000 years. So the beliefs and the ideas of these gods changed as things change over the course of thousands of years. And so there is a version of the story where we know it was believed that the sky goddess Nut and the earth Geb were to have children, and Ra feared them and said, you're not allowed to give birth to any of them. And simultaneously, before Horus was born, Osiris or Set imprisoned Osiris and Isis had to go find him. And then we'll talk about all the myth stuff. But like, I agree it's kind of muddy, but I do like that he did it because I think it does hold true to this really core and important element of exploring Egyptian mythology, is that you're going to get vastly different and conflicting stories. And whereas that is true in Greek mythology as well, because of all the different sources, it's a little different, the reason why it's true. And so for him to be like, yeah, this is the version of the gods that I'm going to go with, that's fine. I like that he didn't try to do that with the Egyptian one. And I think, yeah, I agree. But I like it. What I like about this one is that this is something we talked about a lot, especially towards the end of, I think, our run on the Norse stuff, is just how similar his world building for the Norse mythology stuff was to the Greek stuff. Like, they were like, obviously,
they must have. I'm sorry. I was just trying to find out this great cape list. I can't find where she was born at all. But she's like 21, so this must be like a new recording. They must have lost the rights to like the older recordings.
Oh, could that be it? Why it was?
Why.
Maybe.
Like this, like that's all I can think as to why it's, well, why a 21-year-old is voicing this when these audiobooks are probably
audiobook is much older.
Yeah, certainly, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway,
it's not like, oh, she recorded this 15 years ago, like didn't.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, so yeah, I like that element of it, and I like how so distinct and so different. Like, it feels so different than Camp Half-Blood or New Rome or Hotel Valhalla.
The magic system is definitely different.
Yeah. What'd you think about the magician element?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them being like, oh yeah, if we speak runes into hieroglyphs into reality, I'm like, oh, it's just, it could be the rune shit.
Kind of, yeah. Where it's like, she's just like, yes, speaking it, and the magic personifies as the hieroglyph. Yeah. Which is very cool. I think that's fun. The godling thing was kind of interesting. That was the next thing. What do you think about the godling element of it? The idea that the gods can be hosted by humans. And that's where you circle the different.
The godling stuff was cool. I wish Horus and Isis stuck around. I'm a little bummed out that they're like, all right, if you need me, I guess I'll come help, but I'm not going to be in your head anymore. Okay. It's so interesting, the godling stuff. I like it because also it like demonstrates like, oh, this is why the stories are so different, because when the gods are hosted by humans, they are compelled to reenact patterns. Yeah. Like, they have to. They don't have the imagination. It's only through humanity that they can do different things. Yeah. And that's interesting. Largely unclear in this book. Like, what that means exactly, what the gods gain from doing it. Like, they have to have a host, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a human host. No. But human hosts are more powerful. Yeah. And a more powerful human host can grant you more of the god's abilities. Yeah. Did you want to speak on the, so in the other books, in order to have, well, that's not necessary. In the Percy Jackson books, in order to have fun magical abilities, your parent must be a Greek god or Roman god. You must have it somewhere in your lineage at least. Yes. And in Kane Chronicles, or in Magnus books, in order to get fun magical adventures, you have to die and go to Hotel Valhalla. And now you're in Haene. You can have fun adventures. What did you think about the barrier for entry to do magic and have fun adventures in this one? It didn't seem like there was. Aside from like, oh, you have blood of pharaohs, but yeah. Well, it was like this far down the line, are we like... Right? It's so long, and like, you come from a powerful family. It's like everybody comes from a family. Like, what are you talking... Yeah, like... Two different lineages. What is it? Like, a third of the world's population has Genghis Khan in their blood? Like... Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, these are the reasons they're able to host the gods. And I was like, okay, I get it, because you have to have this... Because the question is, why can't everybody do magic? And it's like, well, you have to have this prerequisite. But that's not true. Because Desjardins' ancestor was not a descendant of pharaohs, but he can do magic. You can do magic. Yeah, anyone can learn how to do magic. You can do magic. You can do more and better magic if you have that blood of pharaohs. But you can do magic. I think it's not... Well, yeah, you're right. It is, because it's like, And it's like you are a stronger host for the gods to pick to become a godling.
And I don't love the better bloodline.
Weird.
It's one of those things that it's like, hey, Rick, I don't think you thought about this long enough.
It's 2010.
Yeah. Yeah, also that. But it's just really like, I get it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it needs to be that way.
No.
Like, I think it could just be the Egyptian gods are real. You can channel magic if you're hosting them. Julius and Mama Kane, Ruby, I always forget her name, were both magicians, and they both knew each other that way, and they both knew, like, all of these things could have still happened without the bloodline of the pharaohs.
It also kind of like points to Horus was like always there, Osiris was always there, Isis was always there in their bloodline, because we see flashbacks to older, specifically Osiris, Isis, Horus. They all look like these people.
Yeah, and I couldn't
and then we look back in time as like these pharaohs also look like these people.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy when you see the pharaohs. Like, it looks like Dad. No, he doesn't. He
shouldn't.
Can't. That's crazy. There's so many generations in genetics.
Yeah, you're so far removed at this point.
Yeah. I think it's one hand to be like, oh, you're a descendant because your ancestors hosted the gods. And that is what makes you... It's not because your ancestors were pharaohs and inherently better. It's because, like...
They became more in tune with
the gods, and you were able to do... Yeah, I think maybe if that was the way we're going to circle...
I have no idea.
I don't know. It's just one thing that I'm like, you come from these two powerful bloodlines. I'm like, gross. I don't like it. Don't do that.
I always kind of dig it. Personally, I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Like somewhere down the line, my like great granddaddy was a king. Fuck yeah.
I mean, that's fine, but it's the idea that these two are inherently more deserving of power and authority and more
deserving. They just
they are more special because of something their ancestors did that they have no control over. And that is just can be a theme that is interrogated, and I just don't think it is.
That's fair.
But yeah, I was like, I don't think we need this. But it also is like explicitly stated that like, if you don't have this, you aren't going to be as good at controlling the gods. Because what happens is...
Well, I mean, we also see in like the other ones, like if you don't have the special eyesight or just like a way of dealing with it, your mind breaks if you know gods are real.
Yeah. But that feels different to me. That feels more like...
Just because it's a lottery versus a bloodline?
Well, yes. Yeah. Okay. Because Rachel Elizabeth Dare and Sally Jackson and May Castellan, randomly, this kind of just happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can see through the mist. And maybe we'll find out that it's because they have a distant ancestor and they actually are related to this. And sometimes it like over generations is a recessive gene. And that's like fine. Because, I don't know, there's still a place for that. But it's like, oh, if you're immortal and you know about this, it'll break your mind. It's because you are inherently not exposed to this magical thing. And suddenly having your worldview change so dramatically is what it is. It's not that you are incapable. It's that it's so shocking that I don't think it's more of a mortals are weak, but it's like literally having your worldview challenged. Like, I think as a kid...
Amir was about to burst into flames.
But they were in fact on the Bifrost, and that was a pretty.
They weren't on the Bifrost. He was seeing the Bifrost.
That was a pretty. It's an atomic rainbow.
But he was about to burst into flame.
That was a pretty big place for her to roll
Even
that.
Still.
And so, but like I think, flip side. Let's say you had a 6-year-old, a kid, and you're like, look up. There's this. I think the 6-year-old kid would be able to handle that just fine.
Yeah, but
because kids have a more flexible.
Would probably rewrite it later.
That's the other thing, though, is it keeps getting... But that's where you get into the whole magic is doing that to you.
Yeah.
Like, there is magic that is constantly rewriting it. And Magnus actively healing Amir while he was processing it is what keeps it from magically being rewritten in his head.
Yeah.
Which I think is different than coming in and being like, blood of the pharaohs, we are naturally strong enough to control these gods and not let them control us the same way Amos was being controlled by Set.
Amos wasn't being controlled by Set.
Yeah, he was. The whole time.
No.
The whole time. After the British Museum, Amos is being controlled by Set. He sabotages his own.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. House. That's how you know it was him the whole time.
Yeah. 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 That's a weird. Just bad.
Yeah.
I like it. I still dig. I understand. Like, oh, bloodline. We can be like, oh, the bloodline thing is weird, but it's like, yeah, having the great granddaddy being a king. I like that.
I'm not saying. I think that's fine because I also think it gives them a deeper connection to these stories and this narrative, and I don't think that's bad. I think
you just don't like the fact that it gives them something extra.
Yes.
I think it's fine.
I don't. I think it could be like you are part of this story. Like this
it's like, well, like why else were they pharaohs? Because they had a special way of being able to control these gods and being able to pass that down through a line of kings. Which, historically, that did just happen. They always went to a family thing.
Yeah. It's genealogical. Like we know that, and then they believe that the king or the pharaoh was like literally a god. Yeah. And I think it works. I don't think that's inherently bad. And I think if it was also like you are able to do this because your ancestors could do it and take away the you're from two powerful bloodlines thing, but because only certain people, I don't know. We've talked about this for too long. I don't think it's quite, I think I'm circling around, but I think it just is odd. And I think I like that. I like
2010. We're like,
yeah. I agree with you. I like the fact that their ancestors are Egyptian pharaohs because I think that's cool. And also, I do think again, like I said, it gives them agency and it makes them more part of the narrative than they were just like a random kid, right? I like that.
Yeah.
But I think he'd
eventually come back to it and he'd do a oh man, what was the Titan mom? What was her name?
Titan mom.
Rhea?
Rhea.
Oh,
Rhea being like,
what the
Western
fuck? Western civilization? That was stupid. He probably...
This is colonialism bullshit.
Rewrite. It's like, it was weird. That's not the reason why.
It was not because they have better bloodlines. It's because their ancestors interacted with them. But, yeah, I don't know. Because, like, later on, okay. Hey, y'all read this book, right?
I had to have read this book.
Y'all have to have read. We're all over the place. Because at the museum... Julius Cain destroys
the
Rosetta Stone. One of the first notes I made was when they're going in there and Carter's immediately like, well, we can't just take shit. And Sadie's like, this is fine. And I'm like, of course, the fucking Brit doesn't have a problem with stealing from the Cairo Museum. Of course.
Oh, yeah. Always fun. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
It's been a while. It's always been a while since people do them, and then we won't do. Yeah. Oh, hey, heads up, y'all. We're gonna do this the same way we did the Norse one. We're gonna talk about the three books, and then I'm gonna construct the season, and it's gonna be different. This is the best way to do it.
Yeah, and just kind of realize
cards on the table. We might just do that
going forward.
Blood for Heroes 2.
Yeah, it would probably be better because then we get to talk about all of the myths that happened because it's not
works.
Like. It was easier in PGO to do that because truly it was like one at
and also it was so fresh and there was so much we could be digging into. So I think this is now the way the show is structured.
Yep,
cool.
It's fine.
It's fine. So I was remembering another thing is like the reason that Sadie and Carter are raised separately. And we find out that the House of Life, this secret magic organization with all the magicians who learned the Egyptian magic and stuff, they actively meddled in the custody battle between Julius Cain and Ruby Kane's parents after Ruby died.
Wild. It's also crazy to separate siblings like that, period.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a story aside from Parent Trap.
Parent Trap. I mean, I'm sure it happens. I'm sure this is a thing that happens.
Probably, but it's
can we just here's super important thing. These grandparents are racist.
Not great.
No, like the fact that they didn't try to take both of the because we don't find out later. We find out later that Julius tried to fight to keep Sadie.
Yeah.
And because the House of Life meddled, that's why the grandparents got her. What we don't hear is that the grandparents were trying to also take Carter. Like it wasn't that they both wanted both the kids and they got separated. It is that the grandparents only wanted Sadie, the white passing granddaughter.
Yeah.
These folks Ruby Cain is white, Julius Cain is black. Carter is a black kid.
Yeah.
Sadie is still a black girl, but she is passing. And they have this whole thing where she talks about how people are always surprised to realize that like Carter is her brother or her dad is her dad, and how it pisses her off, which for sure I can imagine that would be a whole thing. So like I just need to point that out. These old white British people are so racist.
Not great.
Fine. Be mad at Julius, blame him for your daughter's death, but you're not gonna want Carter? There's only one answer to that.
Yeah.
So I had this thing, we talk about how they were always, the reason they wanted to separate them was because they were like really powerful together.
Yeah, they like bounced off each other in some way.
They blew up her birthday cake when Sadie was little.
Couldn't tell you.
Super cute story.
Very fun.
But I was like, are all magician siblings like this?
Do they all just like are conduits for each other?
No, it's only because that they're the bloodline of 2 pharaohs.
Great.
And I was like, okay.
Right.
So it inherently makes us more magical because we're the bloodline. And that's what it is. It makes them because they're more magical because they're the bloodline of 2 pharaohs. Like, even if it was just like they're better at hosting gods because their ancestors did it and the pharaohs were the ones that hosted the gods, okay, fine. But it's the fact that even before the god hosting comes in, they are inherently more magical and more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm like, I don't like that. That's where it is. I finally was able to articulate the specific about it. It's not the God thing. It's the magic thing.
Fair enough. I still dig it. But I get it.
Hey, do you think that Bast was Bast like the whole time?
Yeah.
Or was Muffin?
No, Bast was Bast the whole time.
Yeah.
She said that pretty much. She's like,
was she
on
like,
the day of your mother's death, I made a deal with your father to protect you.
Yeah. But like, you know how Carter's still Carter, even though Horace is there. And it's not
honestly,
until
Bast was Bast the whole time.
You think Bast was the one driving the ship the whole time?
Just being like, yeah, I'm a cat.
See, I'm also wondering if Bast was just hanging out in the background and letting Muffin, because the reason I think this,
there's probably a time. There were probably a couple of times like, I'm tired. I can't take the ship right now. It's all you, buddy.
Because after Bast dies and is gone, sent back into the doo-wop. I love the doo-wop and the layers of magic and this layer with the mist thing. It's like, fuck yeah, let's run it. This is the first branch we got away from the Greek stuff, and it's so cool. And there's a lot of overlap between the two. But she uses the last of her energy to save Muffin, who is her host, Sadie's cat. And then when Muffin sees Sadie, Muffin tries to comfort her and snuggles with her. And Meow's so cute. Which makes me think that if Bast was always in control and Muffin was just dormant or
wouldn't have that
affection with Sadie. So I was like, which one is it? And I brought this up because it's crazy. I actually got to be on 2 other recent podcasts talking about like 3 chapters in a row. And on Seaweed Brain, I got to be on the Bast Keeps a Promise chapter. And I asked about this. And Erica, host of Seaweed Brain, proposed a theory that because Bast is literally the goddess of cats, that automatically this is a perfect conduit for her, and that it already serves as like that perfect balance between God and host that we see that Sadie and Isis and Carter and Horace achieve right at the end. Bast and Muffin are that just the whole time because cat goddess.
I can make
I'll take that. Yeah. So now here's the thing. So Bast is my favorite character. DJ, who's your favorite character?
Horace.
Really?
I dig Horace, bro.
I found him annoying.
I loved it. He was fun.
He's really fun.
But it was like Horace and like Carter, right? Both of them. I dug them.
A couple times when Horace says, "Wish me a happy birthday."
Yeah,
that's
pretty
great. That's
fun, dude.
That is funny.
Come on.
I just feel like we didn't get a lot of like. Anytime Horace is saying anything, it's like, "Let me drive." Shut the fuck up. Like, I don't feel like Horace was a character. He was like most of the time a fly that Carter had to keep batting away.
Yeah.
Or sometimes a coach whispering in his ear. But
we didn't get like any of that with Isis.
No, which
is crazy because it's like we were in Sadie's head a couple times after the museum, and like we were in Carter's head, and he talks about like there's a voice in my head that's not me but sounds like a mature me.
Yeah.
And Sadie later is like, I had a voice in my head too. She's not talked about it.
Right.
At all.
She doesn't.
Not up until she says I've had a voice in my head do we start hearing Isis.
Yeah, you're right. And even like later, I feel like Isis and Sadie do not interact back and forth as much as like there's one time where Isis is really trying to egg her on because Isis is really pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, is it when they're in?
It was with Newt.
Was it with Newt?
Yeah. Isis was trying to come out and like give Newt a piece of her mind.
that's
but
right.
Sadie's like, no, stop.
I think
not right now. We're done.
She also didn't like Tote.
Which one was Toad again?
Thoth. I listened to Crash Course Mythology, and they used they called him Tote, and they also, you could have bought a tote bag.
Yeah, my pronunciations are all going to come from SMITE, because it's the only place I've interacted with. So it's like Thoth, it's Geb, Newt, Amher, Serket. Serket was cool.
That was fun.
Yeah.
This summoning Serket to
like
chase them. Well, yeah. This was like our
to like other pursuing villains we've seen in books past. She did not get her reprise, dude.
No, and this was really just to recreate the Serket myth.
Is that?
That's what it is. She's rampaging. She's gonna kill everything, so they trick her into eating something a lot, and then she gets like all sleepy comfortable.
No, that's
she turns into Oh, Serket's the scorpion.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, she doesn't come back.
Dude, she doesn't get a reprise.
I think Bast kills her. No, she doesn't, because she shows back up.
To come back.
Oh, that's right, because the ribbons
being wrapped
don't
up,
work.
she starts to come back, and then they run away, and it's like she doesn't get a reprise as a chase villain.
You're right.
Like every other chase villain in this world gets their reprise. Like the Manticore got his reprise. Even the Minotaur got a reprise, bro. Come on.
Yeah, so the fact that Serket, they made a big deal about Serket not being banished. And then I don't know, man. That was crazy.
I didn't
even think about it. Hey, I want to talk about Bast more. She talks about how this was there when this book was coming out. There's a lot of question of like, is this in the same universe as the Percy Jackson books?
Yeah, because she what is it? Thoth is like, if you ever met Hermes. Like literally, it's one of the first things. Like they says I'm like Hermes, but like that's insulting. If you've ever actually met the guy,
when they go to Cleopatra's Needle because they're looking for an object, an obelisk that'll let them do anytime you have like an Egyptian shape, you can use it as a portal. And Bast says that she tries to avoid Manhattan.
Yeah.
And Amos says that he doesn't go to Manhattan because
Cleopatra's Needle. That's in England.
Oh, she was imprisoned in Cleopatra's Needle. They're going to the tomb that's at the Met that I've been to.
Nice.
I have pictures in front of it. It was really cool.
That's sick. She says she avoids Manhattan.
Yeah, which I also was wondering, like, when did she go to Manhattan? She's been trapped in Cleopatra's Needle fighting Apophis
for so long
before
Egypt, effectively. I don't even know.
Since Ra decided he was going to check out.
Yeah.
Which who knows how long ago that was. So like
no
a really long time. Was she as Muffin just going out on the town?
I have no idea.
Like when did you go to Manhattan?
Maybe it's like that simple thing of like, oh, the gods aren't always in one place.
But I think that's true. Because they talk about how like her whole essence isn't in Muffin. Like the god's entire essence isn't
there
in
probably
their house.
Is like parts of like she shoots out her
trapped. I don't know.
I have no idea. It's weird.
Hey, speaking of Manhattan though, DJ, do you remember in Tower of Nero where Rachel Elizabeth Dare makes a comment about how sometimes she sees a mansion across the way and it freaks her the fuck out because there are penguins on it?
I think so, yeah. It's the House of Life. That's
it's
fun.
It's the what is it?
21st Gnome?
The 21st Gnome where the Brooklyn magicians are holed up. And that's delightful.
Yeah, that's fun.
One last thing about Bast. I want to talk about that. Like, I'm sure we'll do a Bast episode, obviously, but I made a note about this because I love it. Bast gets to interact with cats a couple of times. They don't meow at each other, and the cats don't meow at Bast. They just go up and they stare at each other for a while, and the cat leaves with whatever its mission is.
Yeah,
and I love that because cats don't meow at other cats.
No, they meow at humans.
They meow at humans.
We talk with words,
but also they meow at kittens. They meow at babies. They meow at us because we can't communicate, just like babies can't communicate well yet. So they meow at us because we're just babies. Well, that's not entirely true. They know we're not babies, but that's how they communicate.
Yeah, that's like they realize like this is where that can.
They would not need to communicate such with Bast, and Bast would not need to vocalize to them.
Yeah,
because she's the goddess of fucking cats.
Yeah,
and I like that.
It's a lot of fun. Set. I guess again, this is coming from SMITE stuff. I never pinned him as Fireman.
Yeah, it was Storm. He's Storm Man.
Yeah, but he's constantly like heat and like fire and like sometimes magma.
Well, he's red. And there's lava in his tomb, isn't in the pyramid, isn't there?
Why is he fire? Why is he heat?
I don't know.
I don't know what the red desert is, but is it really that hot?
I mean, it's a desert.
Yeah, but it's like, is the black desert hotter or not?
It would absorb the heat, so probably.
Yeah, and that's Horus. And Horus isn't fire, man.
Well, but Horus, the black represents the nutrient-rich soil of the Nile.
Yeah.
The red doesn't
hot.
Have nutrients, and so you can't grow anything there.
It's just weird.
So it would be hotter, because the dark is moist.
Yeah.
So yes. I don't know.
Fire?
DJ, this isn't the set episode. This is the red. I can't answer these questions.
I know, not yet.
I do. Can we unpack the Moses thing?
Dude.
You want to talk about the Hall of Ages?
Moses shows up and it's my God stronger than yours.
And the answer is yes.
And that's what he does, dude. That's kind of what happens.
That's what happens in the fucking book.
He's only been bested by one magician before. Moses wasn't a magician. He just had better faith. I don't know what you want from him.
Yeah, they go through the Hall of Ages where we get this like crash course Egyptian history where it's like the time of the gods, and then we get the time of like the pharaohs and stuff, and then we get the decline. But they make a point to talk about how this man in this like scrunchier robes casts a snake, and the snake eats both the other snakes, and like that's the story from the Bible.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's the Moses thing, and it's like so Rick, you worked so hard to dance around it, but you didn't have to.
No, you didn't.
Rick, you didn't have to.
But it is like a part of Egyptian history. I don't know.
It's not a part of Egyptian history. It's part of the Bible story.
You know, maybe during your research, it might come up.
I can't talk about this right now, but it's like, yeah, he's the only magician who is not a member of the House of Life he was the only to beat the magicians of the House of Life.
Yeah.
I think they say the only outsider to ever beat the House of Life, and you're just like,
so funny.
And in this time period is when they were still channeling the powers of the gods.
Yeah. It's such a my God is stronger than your God's moment. Which is literally so
what it is. It's not like that. It is exactly that. That is exactly. The magicians are like, we'll praise like Ra, Horus, Osiris, and they'll let us do. Because, okay. Side tangent. The Old Testament isn't running around and saying these gods don't exist.
No.
It's just saying you will hold no other god before me.
Yeah.
That I am the greatest of all gods.
Yeah.
That is literally not that passage, that interaction isn't saying the Egyptian gods don't exist. It's that the Hebrew God is better.
Yeah.
And modern Christianity just completely ignores that aspect.
Is, like straight up.
I think the world is far more fascinating if we lived in a modern world where it's like, yeah, these pagan gods are, but our God's cooler than them. Yeah. Like we acknowledge them, but ours is like we've lost that, and that's a real bummer.
That shit is so funny.
We just changed it to ours is only, and I think that's way less fun. I think that's of course you're gonna believe in your God if you believe he's the only one. Like. Sorry, that was a lot. Sorry. I don't know if that'll make it to the episode. Dude. We'll see.
It's just funny.
Yeah, I just really need to tie in the Moses thing.
Moses rolls up.
Okay, we have to walk past it.
My God's the guy. My God is him.
We're going to walk past it. We're going to double deck like Sadie does to just take a dip into this fucking Age of the Gods and go to the party where Set jumps Osiris.
Dude, that's crazy. And it's like so obviously a trap.
It's so aggressive.
And Isis is like, bro, it's a trap.
It's like, don't do that.
This man is like a trick man. Like
he's a trick man. He's a trickety trick man.
What are you doing, dude?
He does tricks.
It's like, what are you talking about? He's here in good faith.
But he's never been here. Here's what's crazy. This is like, I would have thought that this was the thing that Set did that made everybody not like him. They don't. He rolls up a la Maleficent to this party that he was not invited to. It's Osiris' birthday party. He's not invited.
It's not like Osiris wasn't happy to see him either.
He was a little bit like concerned.
He's like, hold on, what are you doing here? Like, have some cake, but
don't start.
I don't remember sending the invite.
I'm pretty sure Isis
wasn't like a non-invite. But I don't remember sending an invite.
But also, Nephthys is here, Set's wife. So she did get invited to the party. She was already there.
Yeah.
Who else is at this party?
Isis?
Well, yes.
Oh, Anubis.
Anubis is no, he's not named yet.
No.
So DJ.
He's a hot 16-year-old.
Yeah. How do we feel?
Sadie's like 12?
Sadie is, in fact, 12.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, as I don't know how it goes, and I didn't
Right, you're just
personally
here.
kind of pick up on it, but maybe he did. I don't remember Anubis also playing into the whole Sadie has a crush on him thing.
I mean, he does ask her out at the end of their conversation in the... Here's the thing. I love that chapter of them in the underworld, of them interacting with Anubis, of this conversation of her getting the feather of truth by answering these questions, of them in the graveyard in New Orleans, and the jazz and the death ritual. And the way he writes Anubis...
it's great.
Yeah, great. Very much comes off as he feels like a kid. He feels like a young teenager, right? Like he's not coming off as if he's like a god, even though he is. And
he is ancient.
He is ancient, but like he and Sadie really bond over like the absent dad, the feeling of responsibility, because Osiris has been gone since he was trapped in the Rosetta Stone with all his siblings.
Yeah.
So which left Anubis, who in this context is a younger god, alone trying to run the underworld, but the scales are broken and the dead aren't coming through. And what is he supposed to do? He's kind of just a kid.
Yeah.
And now we have Sadie, who is like, her dad is gone. She's running on training to save the world. This is crazy. It's too much responsibility. She and Carter are just kids. So we set up this interaction between these characters that is very much like, we're going to get like kind of a ongoing romance plot. I don't think that's a spoiler to say. You could see that's what, because Sadie sees him instantly, is like, what a hot boy.
Yeah.
And when she sees him again, and they have this great back and forth. And he's also in the scene of the Hall of Ages, Anubis is the only one that sees her.
Mm-hmm.
No one else sees her. So it also indicates that she wasn't just viewing a vision, that she truly herself went back in time.
Her bot, and
Anubis saw her. And what I really needed was when they reunited for the first time in the underworld, I needed Anubis to say, oh my God, it's you. Or something like that. Yeah. I needed him to fucking Howl's Moving Castle this shit and be like, I've been looking for you for years.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. And we don't want the kid to be with the god. That's weird. But you're going to come over here, you're going to tell me, no, the god is basically a kid himself. Fine. I'll buy it. I'm an urban fantasy romance girly, okay? Mm-hmm. If I'm going to believe that this world where these kids can channel the gods and do magic because they're the blood of the pharaohs, then fine. I will believe that this god, no, it's okay. He's basically a super powerful kid.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm down. And it's cute. And you wrote it cute. And I felt their back and forth. What I don't like is that Anubis is 16 years old. Why, Rick?
Why do you keep doing this?
Why couldn't he be 13?
14 even.
I'll give you 14. Carter's 14.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Sadie be 14? Why couldn't she and Carter be twins? 14 and 16? I'll give you that. Especially if one of them is like...
Honestly, could have been twins, because that would make more sense as to why they're bouncing off of each other,
yes,
right?
The twin
like,
thing!
It truly would have been like way more...
Why aren't they twins? Why aren't they 14? I think Sadie is younger to keep it fully anchored in the middle grade. Like, if they were both teenagers, we'd be almost sliding into like the YA, where it's still not, but it, like, having someone start out as a 12-year-old, just like Percy did, firmly cements it in a certain demographic, which is fine. That's what Rick writes for. But like, man. And I think that's why Hazel is so young too. But like, hey, Hazel and Frank, I don't like their age gap. And I don't like this one either. Magician and a god. I'm actually fine with that. I think you did the legwork. 12-year-old and a 16-year-old? Fuck off, Rick Riordan.
Come on.
Why did you do that? Make her 14, make him 15 or 13. He didn't have to be 16.
At this young, 2 years is truly the max.
The max, and they both need to. And the only reason I'll even let it slide for this one is that he's basically like a weird shut-in. If it was an actual 16-year-old hitting on a 13-year-old, I'm a little bit like, leave them alone.
Even then, for me, it's like, 2 years is truly the max from 14 to 18.
But then, listen,
it's just the max.
But if you're like an 18 to 16, big yikes. I don't like that. I don't like that.
That's senior to sophomore.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'm fine with that.
I feel like there's a lot of change you go through between even those 2 years. For my 1 year, I'm honestly a little bit like, no, I think 1 year.
Yeah, no, for me, grade. It's 2 max.
I don't know. But I'm just like, that's the thing. It's like another thing. It's like, Riordan, he didn't have to be 16. He's not real. Why did you do this multiple times?
It's wild.
So
it could just be him, however old, 40, 50-year-old dude looking back and being like, the ages between 16 and 12 truly just don't matter to me.
But they should.
They should.
And they do.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm 30 and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
If I found out our youngest brother in a couple years was like hitting on a 12-year-old, I would fucking elbow him in the jugular because he'd be taller than me and that'd be as high as I could reach. Kid is sprouting up.
Yeah.
So I, one hand, am excited for you to see where this Anubis thing goes because DJ, you can't fucking predict where it's gonna go. It's insane.
She becomes just like the next god of the dead. I don't know.
Oh, we'll see.
She becomes a necromancer because she has such a close relationship with the god of the dead.
Yeah. Hey, can we talk about the Bass Pro Shop?
It wasn't a Bass Pro Shop.
It wasn't a Bass Pro Shop.
It was an arena.
At the time.
At the time of this was being written.
Yes, it wasn't.
It was a closed down arena.
They go to Memphis.
Eventually opens up into a Bass Pro Shop.
They go to Memphis, where Tote is at, and he's holed up in the shut down because, hey, a pyramid arena is a bad shape for a sports arena and for a music venue.
And,
it was
and
bad.
For a hotel. The Luxor is not comfortable either.
No, the Luxor's janky as fuck. So all bad. Today it is the Bass Pro Shop.
It is, yeah.
I forgot that the Pyramid Arena was in the book. So when they mentioned the Louvre, because they used that to teleport, I was like, wait, if the Louvre counts, that means the Bass Pro Shop. And then they mentioned the Pyramid Arena. And I'm like, oh shit, the Bass Pro Shop.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Other thing this talks about is the idea of like the rightful king, right? Like Horus says he's the rightful king, Osiris the rightful king. We have to Set is the unjust king. We want to put the rightful king. Like, what do we feel about this like definition of rightful or like this adherence to king and monarchy as order?
I mean, it seems to be Set's the unjust king because he's constantly usurping the throne.
Yeah.
So it's not particularly order in terms of a lineage and handing down power.
Yeah, because another thing about Egyptian mythology is not a clash of good and evil or moral or immoral. It's that those concepts are wrapped up in an overall idea of order and chaos.
Yeah.
Where order is desirable and chaos is dangerous. And Set represents chaos.
Yeah.
And so you're right. By usurping the throne, that throws structures into chaos, and that's what makes him the unjust, because order should be a passage of power correctly. Yeah. But how do we grapple with that if the king is a tyrant, if the king is cruel, if the king is harming his citizens and not leading them and draining them of their resources, even if he is the rightful king, if his father and their father and mother and father before them were the pharaohs, and now you are the next line, like. Well,
that's why sometimes chaos is good. But Osiris, they didn't depict him as that.
Yeah.
So
how? I mean, yes,
he was still a just king. He was still a rightful king. So Set trying to usurp the throne at this point, chaos is bad. Mm-hmm. But if order turns out to be bad and the order led to a tyrannical king, then chaos would be good in the situation.
So overall, you're saying like there is, even in this concept of order v chaos, there is an opportunity for it not to be black and white. That the status quo is not inherently like the automatic thing we will defend just because the status quo is order.
Yep.
I like that. I hope we get to circle back and we'll see that if how that is examined through the course of the book. So I think that is also an interesting thing. Like you could argue.
Yeah, but right now, Apophis also is apparently the bottom in chaos. And he's not a good guy.
No, but he is the idea of like, I guess we can see the extremes of like too much order is stagnation, is status quo.
Which was Ra, actually.
And that's the problem we have where it's like, damn, but the good old days with Ra, though, because a lot of things coming back, like when they're seeing on the boat, how they're like, yeah, Ra used to sail this every night and he doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
Things aren't good since Ra has been gone.
It's crazy how maybe they bring, I like Capri. I like Capri. He's fun.
What's Capri?
He's not mentioned in this book.
Oh.
He's a scarab beetle who rolls the sun.
Oh.
He's another Egyptian sun god.
Yeah.
What are we doing with him?
I think we get more Ra stuff later, and it's like Capri is a variation of Ra.
Oh, kind of cringe.
We'll get to it. I don't remember.
That's kind of cringe if Capri is just a variation of Ra.
Yeah. I think the order v chaos thing can be interesting, but I think we have to caution, like, the message we're sending, if order is always right, then it would imply that any challenge to an orderly system is inherently wrong if it results in chaos. But sometimes when you have bad systems, they need to be dismantled, and that means chaos and violence. Which I think is actually
the way that they were dealing with the house. That's the juxtaposition there. Is the house is now dealing in stagnation and is passing on into this guy, whatever the fuck his name is. Desjardins.
Shout out to Seaweed Brain. That's the only reason I know how to say that, because Carter says it perfectly, which is shocking because Carter hates the French.
Yeah. Desjardins. And Desjardins is the tyrannical leader right now.
Yeah.
But we know that this chaos...
Because he's so adhered to order, he's willing to kill the kids and not listen to them.
Yeah, and chaos is the kids living and continuing on and doing the new thing.
That's a good point. I wish that'd been reflected on. I think you're totally right. And again, I don't necessarily need it to be spelled out, but that's a really good point, is that they are inherently introducing chaos into what is an orderly system, but the order is leading to
that's been
crumbling.
Relatively successful for the last 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 years.
It was
however long
since the time of Cleopatra. Because the previous...
I don't know when Cleopatra was around. Which Cleopatra?
The last one. The last queen, the last pharaoh of Egypt was Cleopatra, who, Rome came and she took her own life rather than let Rome capture. This book is really adamant in describing Cleopatra as a foolish queen who couldn't host Isis. And I'm like, Cleopatra was the only Ptolemaic pharaoh who even who actually learned Egyptian, I believe. I read that in a Nat Geo. I'll double check and see if it's true. I also think we need to do an episode on Cleopatra.
Wonderful.
Because
she's mentioned. Why not?
She's mentioned.
A couple times too.
Mentioned and
once.
slandered.
Yeah.
And I just need.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. So one more big thing. Ruby Kane dies because she's able to see the future.
Mm-hmm.
She sees what we find out is Apophis coming, breaking loose, and the only way to stop Apophis is chaos in the sense of like utter destruction, constant entropy, like the absolute breakdown of not just order but of all
everything.
Things,
yeah,
like death
of all structure,
everything. There's no opportunity to build or create or renew. It is just molten magma that never forms into an island, basically. Yeah. And so she sees that coming and she's like, hey, the only way we can stop it is that we need more power. We need to realign ourselves with the gods. So their idea was like, hey, we're going to go and free Bast because we know she's imprisoned in Cleopatra's Needle. So they go do that, but it becomes too much because I think they didn't know Apophis was in there too. And Apophis was almost getting out. So Ruby Kane casts a shield spell to force Apophis back in and keep him imprisoned. And that's what kills her. Yeah. She uses too much magic. We find out that Bast offered, hey, let me help you. Host me. I will let you use my energy. She's not a magic goddess, but she can do that.
She's got, at the very least, more reserves than you.
Yeah. And Ruby said no.
Thinking about it now, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why the sacrifice? You didn't need the sacrifice.
Yeah, it was like if her whole theory is that we need to be able to channel the gods again, to bring the gods back, to go back to the old ways of the house to allow us to beat Apophis and stop this from happening. Here is the opportunity to
prove that,
demonstrate that in practice by letting this goddess doing that exact thing. And so it feels antithetical to her belief that it is necessary to go on the path of the gods again. I think later on it stated that she knew it wouldn't be enough, or that she herself could not actually host a god.
Mm-hmm.
That no one can, just Sadie and Carter can. And I think it's because Sadie and Carter can because they're the blood of two pharaohs.
Yeah. Whereas
she is also descendant of pharaohs, but just one.
It's just one pharaoh, so?
I know, right?
Previously, it's always just been one pharaoh. Of course, it's always been just one pharaoh.
That's why I have a problem with the pharaoh thing. Because I also don't think, beyond the fact that it found it a little icky, I don't think it works. I don't think it's sound.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not sound due to that part. Yeah, that's a little goofy.
I have a lot of notes. But yeah, later on they'd say oh, she was right not to do it. She couldn't have, or maybe she couldn't have kept Bast in control. She wouldn't have been able to give up the power. Because what Sadie and Carter do at the end is after they beat Set, I really do love the way that they beat Set at the end. Horus and Carter get to have a cool fight, and that's really neat. And they literally force Set to turn into a fruit bat at a point in time.
That's sick.
And that's pretty fucking awesome. Fun. And then they fight, but they're losing. And so then Isis and Sadie like get on the fucking same like soul resonance.
Yeah.
Shut up, soul eater. That's exactly what it is. And they come up and they use Set's own goddamn pyramid, the source of his power, as a portal doorway to send them back to the fucking Washington Monument from the beginning of the book.
So good.
So good, which they'd already set up. They said we knew what they could do. Anything can be used. It doesn't even have to be
the biggest obelisk.
Biggest obelisk. And they're like, auspicious moments happen all the time. And Sadie Isis is like, yeah, and you know what? I'm going to use your fucking birthday. Oh, the other thing is like a magician cannot open a portal during the demon days.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, a magician can't. A goddess of magic can. Like, Tote does it earlier for them. He's like, oh yeah, a magician can't, but a god of magic can.
Yeah.
And Isis is the goddess of magic. I love it in a narrative when you set up a couple pieces and are just like, here are all the threads, and then you just see the author pull them tight and watch the whole image come together. Like, oh, that's so fucking satisfying.
Super strong.
So fucking satisfying. And they banish him. They could have killed him. They could have put him in the Duat. They get him. He's already out of Uncle Amos. He's been possessing Uncle Amos. Uncle Amos went through a bad fucking time.
Feel bad for this man.
Bad time. Trauma. Yeah. This is what happens if a god just rides around in your body. It's real bad.
It's not good.
So I also think that works too to demonstrate what maybe that was what Ruby was worried about. Like she would not be able to contain Bast and so then would lose herself or would not be able to give up the power. Because at the end, Sadie and Carter do.
Yeah.
And that is also what demonstrates that what makes them miraculous is they don't want to be gods. They want to be human.
Yeah.
And that's important for the narrative.
I get it, but like, let's have them hang around a little longer.
They'll still be around. I mean, they're not going to be like present. They weren't already real present. But like, we're still learning the path of Horus, the path of Isis, like the path of those magics.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, they give him up, and that's the big miraculous moment. The house comes and like, hey, we'll let Amos, we'll bring him to some healers. The gods roll up. We get to see. So Julius Cain is dead, by the way.
Yeah.
He dies.
Yeah, again, but he still like looks like Osiris.
Well, because Osiris is possessing him. But they're dead.
No, he looked like Osiris.
I don't know if he actually looked like Osiris or if they just saw their dad in Osiris because dad figure.
We saw it during the time of the gods.
Yeah.
He looked like Osiris. Osiris looks, that man on the throne looks like my dad.
But she later on looks and says that Isis looked like her mom, but she didn't before. And I think it might be like her projecting the figure. But you're right. That's unclear. It doesn't make sense. But Osiris and Julius are doing like this god resonance thing at the end.
Yeah.
And also they get to see Ruby again. And death means nothing anymore.
Well,
and Anubis is there.
When your dad's the god of the dead.
That's true. When your
dad's king of the dead. Yeah.
And then they go to this big party at the end where the gods are like, hey, you're great. And Horus asks Carter's like, are you sure you don't want to team up again? We could.
Are you sure you don't want to be king of the gods and king of the earth?
Yeah.
You can do it. Or king of the, or whatever the highest
pharaoh.
Point,
yeah.
No, the highest point of the house. I don't remember the name of that.
Oh yeah.
That just like you could have both of these seats at the same time. Not even
just like it's not like Desjardins' job, but like the pharaoh's throne in the house would it be?
You
like
could have it. You could do it.
And Carter's like, I'm 14.
He's like, I can't do this right now. It's fucking too much.
I need to do more learning and more growing. I think that's also demonstrating a lot. And so Horus is like, he sits on the throne. And it's this great. They get a party and then they go home, and Bast is there.
Yeah.
They one more gift because it's also like these children need an adult. They can't have Khufu the baboon and Prince Macedonia.
I think wasn't Amos there, or did Amos also?
Amos has gone back to the first gnome to get healing. He's in major psychiatric care right now.
Yeah,
this man needs help, and he is getting it, and we are proud of him for that.
We never talked about Zia.
Oh, we spent half this episode. Oh my god, we didn't talk about Zia. DJ, did you call that Zia was a Shakti?
No,
I don't think I did either.
Nope.
Shout out to Seaweed Brain who totally did, but of course they did. They're smart.
Yeah, but it's like...
Okay, my defense. I read this when I was a sophomore in high school.
I was listening to it.
I probably should have.
I'm just a bit of an idiot.
I'm very... Okay, yeah. So we have Zia, who he kind of meet in the British Museum after the Rosetta Stone's been destroyed. We hear her. She's like, we should kill him. And Desjardins like, not yet. And the next time we meet her, it's not actually Zia, it's the Shapti.
Yeah, it's a clay soldier of Zia.
Mm-hmm. That the previous leader of the house, I don't remember the title, Iskandar, who was thousands of years old.
Yeah.
He's the one that said, we got to imprison the gods.
And then later was like, maybe that wasn't the best choice.
Maybe long-term repercussions. Maybe I'm rethinking this. Oh, well, I'm dead.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
Yeah, he dies.
He dies.
But he really, because their policy is to kill godlings. If you are found to be hosting a god, they just kill you.
Yeah, crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Wait a second. Was Zia gonna kill that lady that the scorpion goddess was possessing?
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know what those banners do.
They were banishing the scorpion goddess, and you could see because the lady was starting to look more like herself and not like the goddess form.
There's an exception to normies who are forced into it by evil gods.
I guess maybe, but it's like Carter and Sadie didn't ask to be hosted. Like,
they're
what happened?
Not normies either.
That's true. If you found out to be a magician, then was this lady just some sort of like arachnid scientist who just like likes scorpions?
I wouldn't doubt if she was just some bystander going to work at fucking Starbucks.
Yeah, because here's the thing: the gods can just possess you.
Yeah. Once they're free, they can just choose to go inside.
They can just choose to go inside you. And if
how much
you're not strong enough, or if they're malicious.
Yeah.
Because Set, like, I don't know if Horus had decided, I'm just going to take over, like, I don't know if Carter could have stopped
there were times he tried.
Yeah.
And Carter managed to push back.
Yeah.
And we know that Amos did push back in some ways. Like, Set didn't want to use the sandstorm magic.
Yeah, he was using the storm magic, literally trying to send them a message, like, it is Set. He's like, yeah, so I let him do it. I used his own energy to do it. It almost killed him. That's so fucked up.
He almost did it to send out these flares, dude.
And Zia knew the whole, so he was like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's fine.
Like,
no,
sure,
it's totally
fine.
normal.
I don't know.
But yeah, so
like, what if Amos was just studying chaos magic? Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it.
Maybe.
Why are we banning certain types of magic? Come on.
Because it's Set and it's dangerous. So Osiris went into Julius because that was the game plan. And then Horus, Carter, Isis, Sadie, Set, Amos, which left one more, Nephthys.
Yep.
She ended up in Zia.
Yes.
Apparently that was Zia, who was a magician who knows about this shit, didn't even fucking notice. And then when they go home, Iskandar realizes it and puts Zia asleep somewhere.
Hides her.
And then recreates a Shapti so no one will notice.
Yeah.
And then died like the next day.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, like, what is your long-term
deuces, bro? I'm out of here.
Fades the fuck out of here. Robert, that's the meme. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Hyde's one of the most powerful mages he's ever trained. Peace.
Yeah. And also, like, the one goddess who knows Set's true name, which they are going to need if they're going to banish him.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. Yeah. Anyway, so she's just a Shapti this whole time. But she also is still connected with Nephthys because she's still able to, like, and it's still like her.
Yeah.
She has all of her memories.
But she doesn't.
She doesn't
remember anything more than like a week, pretty much.
No. She remembers her whole life.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
No. Later she comes out and says, I don't remember anything more than like 24 hours ago.
When did she say that? No, the thing
like the second time she meets them.
She can't remember. She can't remember.
She can't remember
her childhood.
But no, when she meets them later, she's like, I don't remember like more than like a 24, 30, like 8 hours ago, whatever the fuck.
Or maybe it's like, she says that doesn't seem real.
Maybe something like that.
Because
I don't know.
She tells Carter about her childhood.
Yeah, because she like can see it through the gates of the memory. But she literally says, I don't remember this.
Yeah. I don't think that's because she's a Shapti. I think that's real Zia cannot remember her childhood.
I have no idea.
I
haven't read any of these fucking later books. I couldn't tell you.
I don't remember. That's the thing I'm saying. I'm like, I think it's a crazy thing for Shaptis to do. When did she become a Shapti? No, we know it was before that night because Iskandar tells Sadie that if she had known, he could have tried to help her sooner, just like he helped and he trails off. And Sadie's like, what are you talking about? Because I don't know their godlings yet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess we'll find out. There are 2 more books. I don't remember either. But yeah. Yes, he was poor Carter really liked her, and they were going to go on a mall dates when this was all over, and then she dissolved.
Gets those memories back. She gets all the memories of everything that happened.
I mean, right, because when Tote sent the Shopti magicians go attack them at Graceland, he was just testing them to see if Horus and Isis were really...
so he can see
what it is. Yeah, so the little light that came out of the
And she's been asleep this whole time, so arguably, she probably would have acted this way. It seems like this was a very good Shopti to be like, this is just Zia.
I mean, if Iskandar made it and he's like the greatest magician, here's what I love. When they first see him, they're walking through the Hall of Ages and they were just like glowing hieroglyphs floating down the hall.
From this man.
They're coming from this man. That's how powerful he is in magic. It's just
he's
his
not
presence.
trying to do it. They're just happening around it.
I loved that. Okay. Do you have anything else about the book you want to talk about?
I'm excited for Carter Zia. I am excited for that.
Really? Carter Zia's got you.
Really
yeah, I love that for you, Z. What do you think is going to happen next, like in the plot? This is why I was like, don't listen to it. I want to ask you this question.
What's the title of the next book?
Throne of Fire.
Damn, I don't actually know the Egyptian fire gods. The Egyptian fire gods causing some shit, probably.
Okay.
Maybe it's just set again. He's like, yeah.
Because they banished that and they told him, you're not allowed to cause trouble until we call for you for help. Because they realized we're going to need everybody.
To do my trouble. I need you for my trouble. Like,
yeah.
Oh, your trouble. All right, let's fucking run it.
Yeah, because they see like, we can kill you right now, but you see Apophis up there. He's way worse. And we realize Apophis has been whispering into Set's ear, trying to get him to cause even more destruction than he actually would want to do.
He was going to use your pyramid to come out.
Yeah, to come out. He was going to because Set was like, I'll get all of my siblings and I'll use all their power, just like I'm going to do Osiris. And Apophis was going to do that plus with Set and then come back through and just destroy everything. Yeah. And it's like, hey, Set wouldn't actually want it. He does want to be king of things. So why would he want to destroy everything?
He wants to be king of the gods, but he doesn't like...
But if you destroy everything, you're king of nothing. Apophis doesn't care about that.
Yeah. The problem is I wouldn't have been able to like guess what was going on in Titan's Curse after Sea of Monsters. Right?
I mean, yeah. You would have never guessed the next part of Titan's Curse. But like, spitball, crazy.
Let's do...
How are they going to beat Apophis?
How are they going to beat Apophis?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're going to seal him off for a while, and then later, Apophis is actually going to gain control of the Oracle at Delphi. And then some 16-year-old with a pimple face, with like a pizza face, comes and throws him into the abyss.
Get him some mighty patches. Let's go.
Honestly, at this point, I'm so all major snakes in mythology truly are just the same fucking snake.
It's the same snake.
Apophis is Python, is Jormungandr, is fucking all of them, bro.
Corporate needs you to tell the difference between these two pictures, these two snakes.
I have no idea.
That was funny.
This is the first
DJ,
book.
this was a joke. I was setting you up to say something goofy.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
I honestly thought about that, like, after, like, Apophis was up. I'm like, yeah, they just seal him away and he gets control of the Oracle of Delphi later.
Is there any Egyptian gods that you're hoping will show up?
I am hoping On Her shows up. I dig On Her.
And who is that?
It's a lion god. I don't actually know what he's the god of.
Neat.
But he is in Smite and he is fun.
Cool.
I want Capri to show up.
Mm-hmm. Is Capri also in Smite?
Yeah. He's fun. Sobek.
Sobek is good.
No, we saw Sobek. We did see Sobek.
Oh, Crocodile God. Yeah, that's where Bast gets her card punched. That was funny. I was so scared. I was like, did they finally get eaten by crocodiles?
When Amos said, don't let him grab you, in my mind, I'm like, don't let him grab you and fling him behind you. His teammates are waiting. Because that's what he does. One of his moves is he grabs and flings people behind him.
So the teammates can just kick him.
He's like, all 4 of his teammates are waiting for you, and then he's going to knock you up with his 2. It's going to be bad, okay? You cannot let him pick you.
That's so good. Oh, I was trying to say this at the top and then got distracted by the voice actors. The reason I really enjoyed listening to this as the audiobook is because the framing device of this book is that it's a recording.
Yeah.
Is that whereas the framing device of the Percy Jackson book is like abstract, Percy is telling the story, but how we're not really sure. This one is explicitly the author, Rick Riordan, was sent an audio recording that he has transcribed into this narration, and it was Carter and Sadie taking turns.
I liked the point of view of this more than the point of views of Heroes.
Absolutely. Well, they're both first person, which we know is his strength.
Yeah. So doing both of them first person, it still has the funny chapter title cards.
Love. Oh, always so good.
And sometimes it would be like the same conflict in between the two characters.
Yeah.
And so that was fun.
Yeah. One thing I thought was interesting, especially following the Anubis underworld stuff, is when Sadie doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't tell. Also, she's like, don't ask me about it because I can't lie because I'll burn the fuck up because I got the feather of truth.
Yeah.
And Carter is talking about how he's like, yeah, I didn't know what she went through. I'm like, you just heard her say the story. Like, you definitely know now, and you definitely heard her talk about it now. So the framing device breaks down a little bit for me at that point. Whereas, of course, Carter...
He's just recalling how he felt at the time.
But doesn't acknowledge that, having heard Sadie talk about it now, I understand why she didn't want to talk about it then. But at the moment, I was like, there's never a point where the only time the framing device is acknowledged is when it's for jokes.
Yeah.
It's to talk about like,
at the very start, at the very end.
Yeah, Sadie just hit me. It's like, oh, cool, you get to tell the cool part and I get to say the boring part.
It's like, you get to talk about us going through the undead and I get to talk about Highway 10.
Yeah, that was funny. And that was funny. But the only time the framing device is acknowledged within the narrative is when it's being used for comedic effect. It's never being acknowledged. Or sometimes it's like, yeah, sorry about that. We had to run from monsters.
Yeah.
To like give you a little bit of like an idea that their adventure is still ongoing even past the story. And that works for me. But like, I think there were some moments where I would have liked to have them comment on the fact that I have just heard this information from my sibling and process that now in a way and how I wasn't able to process it then.
Yeah.
What do you think of Carter and Sadie as siblings? I know I was trying to wrap it up, but I forgot to ask you this important question.
I like it. I think it's cute. I think the...
We don't have siblings in any of the other books.
No.
I mean, we do. Like
we have
all of
Jason and Thalia.
Right, but they barely interact one time.
Yeah.
We have, yes, like all of the kids in a cabin are siblings, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And also, they're not like none of our protagonist characters have a sibling. Who's like also a protagonist. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's cute. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting that Sadie's far more attached to it than Carter is.
What do you mean?
Times. I mean, like, Sadie will sometimes lament or like just have more emotions as to the fact that, yeah, it was like, it's my sibling. It's one of the few people that I actually like in this world. And just have more moments of that than Carter does.
I think that's a good point. I think because Carter has a moment where he's like, oh, I've got to be a big brother. Like, I need to take care of her. But you're right. Sadie has a lot more of like, because Anubis directly asks her, like, would you die for your brother? And she says yes. And is surprised she says that because she hadn't really thought about it. But she's like, of course I would. How they started out as near strangers, but like she's all, I think for Sadie has a lot more of a raw abandonment pain than Carter does.
Probably.
Because she feels
she
abandoned.
Loses her mom, then her dad and brother because her grandparents take her.
Yeah. And the house meddled, but like also, what the fuck? I can't believe you separated her from her dad and her brother.
It's nuts, dude.
And so she has a lot of like, Carter got to stay with dad and travel all around the world with him and have these great adventures. And I've just been left here alone with my grandparents, living a boring, normal life, but also feeling deeply disconnected from her brother and her dad. So when she's reunited with him, I think even though she will like
also the fact that they look at like half a day a year, just like what 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's fucking crazy.
I think it's supposed to be Christmas Day, and he showed up late.
It's supposed to be Christmas morning.
Christmas Eve.
Well, yeah. He gets them on Christmas Eve, but he has to give them back during Christmas Day.
No, because they think about how it's the first Christmas morning they've spent together in years. I think he just has Christmas Eve.
That's crazy.
He just showed up late that day because he's like, it's okay, I'm going to summon Osiris.
That shit is
it won't matter that
I'm getting
6 hours
your mom
late
back.
to hanging out with my... Was that the plan, to get the mom back?
You know, it's part of the plan.
I think the plan was to reunite the family.
It was, here's the quest, and then there's the optional that's like a little more indented, you know, get mom back.
Was it because they thought like, oh, I think Dad's trying to get mom back, but later on they'd start to think that maybe that wasn't what he was trying to do. Like it was to continue the quest of getting the gods.
Again, main quest line, and then, you know, when like sometimes you get that quest and then optional.
So if it lines up,
get mom. That's optional.
Yeah. I'm not sure he could have brought her back from the dead, but they were reunited. I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, yeah, you're right. Like Sadie does have a little bit more of like actively reflecting on it, but I think that makes sense for me because for her, the absence has been felt more acutely. Not to say that Carter hasn't felt it, but it's
arguably
different.
Carter has not been able to feel it either.
Yeah. And he does have
he's like, yeah, I love my sister. It's my sister. Of course I do. But like, doesn't have these moments that Sadie does. Yeah.
It's not presented to him to have the opportunity to reflect on it in the way that Sadie has the opportunity to reflect on it when we're in her narrative.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. So yeah, I like them a lot. I think oftentimes there are a lot of fictional siblings that do not feel like siblings.
No.
that these are not real siblings, that this person has never actually been around real siblings. You can tell when an only child has tried to write a sibling dynamic.
Yeah.
It's either weirdly hollow or
weirdly creepy.
Super creepy. Yeah. As fictional siblings, Sadie and Carter, very good. And I love to see them going from near strangers to literally knowing that they've got each other no matter what happens. Mm-hmm. And that's rough, and it shouldn't be that way for kids.
No.
But
sometimes that's just how it works out.
But also it's a story, so it's fine. But yeah, I'm excited for more. I'm
excited too.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, it's not. There's no way that within the next month does Serpent's Tower come out, but hopefully it does. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, we're going to figure that out. So we got to talk about one last thing as we're getting into the Kane Chronicles and how Netflix briefly acquired the rights to adapt the Kane Chronicles into a live-action movie trilogy and shelved that project not very long ago.
Yeah, what the fuck?
This was after the first season of Percy Jackson came out and was like crazy successful.
It was after the season? I thought they had the Kane Chronicle rights like...
Oh, no, they've had him for a while.
Oh, okay, they shelved it
after. Which just seems so weird because it's like, but you just saw how successful this was. What do you mean you're not going to pursue this? And I don't know if it's because they didn't want to like... Maybe inadvertently...
Disney approached like, hey, we'd like those back, actually.
Well, I don't know, because... I don't know, because Rick Riordan recently has hinted that he has been in talks to do something with the Kane Chronicles. So, but there's no been...
Book 4.
Well, well, that'd be interesting.
Or that final series he hinted at in fucking Trials.
We'll get there. We'll figure it out eventually. He'll go back to it when he's ready.
Yeah.
He's busy right now writing shows and Nico books. Yeah. But he's hinted that he was in talks, but that some folks have construed that to mean that Disney is going to do it, but nothing's been official yet.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I would love to see these adapted because I think they're super fun. I think they're really cool. Specifically, animated.
Yeah, I don't think I need movies for specifically Rick's books because so much happens in them.
So long. This one in particular is so long.
Very long, and so much happens in them that like truly movies never have done good. The two, I've only seen one of the two, but no, it was not great.
Not great. And movies are hard to adapt books. It's really hard to adapt books into movies. So, but I think with the hieroglyphics, with the Egyptian gods in particular, and also I'm a sucker for animation. I love animation, but I really think that the Kane Chronicles would be a really cool opportunity to explore Rick Riordan's world in animation. Granted, I felt that same way about Percy Jackson. I still do.
But the Egyptian gods might be more partial towards animation than CG live action.
Yes, especially when they are being depicted in their human and animalistic form, which I like the idea of like they're shown like that to demonstrate that they are of two worlds.
Yeah.
Not that they actually are that. But sometimes they actually are that though. And that's pretty tight. But yeah, I hope that still happen. I would expect it does. Kane Chronicles or Percy Jackson won a shit ton of Emmys.
Yeah.
Of like youth Emmys recently, and that's huge.
Good for them.
And was very successful and really well liked, and the most viewed like of Disney's properties on Disney Plus that wasn't like a Star Wars or a Marvel. So that's massive.
Big.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So I don't know. We probably will eventually, and I again want it to be animated, but I want everything to be animated, to be perfectly honest.
Right now,
there's not a single adaptation of anything I like that I wouldn't prefer to see it done animated.
Yeah. Right now, live action is just, man.
It must be cheaper.
Yeah, obviously, it's got to be cheaper.
It's just cheaper. All right. Well, that's a bummer note. But Bast is cool. I love Aunt Bast. She is the energy I want to bring to the relationship with our nieces and nephews.
Fair enough.
Is I'm going for an Aunt Bast energy.
Fair enough. All right.
Hold on, don't yawn.
All right.
Okay. That's it. Hey, we did it. We're back. Hey, everybody.
We're back.
Thanks
Episode 101.
101. First returning.
Welcome to Egyptian 101, guys.
It's not that. Kind of. Welcome to Crash Course Egypt Mythology.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun time. We're going to do some crazy stuff. Next episode is going to be on the Throne of Fire, because that's what we're going to do. but it's going to be a fun season. I'm excited. Egyptian mythology is my first love. The first thing I was super into as a kid was Egyptian mythology. I'll save my 6th grade social studies story for the next episode. I think we've done enough just to get y'all coming back. Wait till I tell you about when I made canopic jars.
Oh, wow. Thank you guys for joining us.
We will be back in your ears on Tuesday, April 22nd to talk about the Throne of Fire. But until next time, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Muses of Mythology is created and hosted by Darien and DJ Smartt. It's edited by Darien Smartt. The show is produced by Darien and DJ Smartt, as well as
Tim O'Connor, The Crystal Conman, Nicholas Miller. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Haene.
And our cover is by Ryan Kapoka. You can find them on Instagram or through the link in our show notes. Want more Muses of Mythology? Support the show on Patreon. Join the Patreon for free for access to outtakes and bloopers from our main feed episodes. Or for $5 a month, you can enjoy our Bunker 9 bonus episodes every other week. Get more at patreon.com/Muses of Mythology.
You can also support the show by leaving a review at lovethepodcast.com/Muses of Mythology. Or tell a friend why you love the show.
Don't forget to check out all of our episodes and episode transcripts at musesofmythology.com.
Thanks for listening.